Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Modern Horizons draft video. Now, today, I think I'm probably going to start drafting the Delirium deck. Profane Tutor is nice, but it's not really a good limited card, I think. Prophetic Titan is excellent top-end, and is playable even if you don't have Delirium. It's a good card. I'm a little sad to pass so many good red and blue cards in this pack, like Storm God's Oracle, because I'm going to be signaling that this strategy is open. I guess the alternative would be to take like Legion Vanguard or Tragic Fall and try and draft that deck, but we'll see what happens. Pack 2, I think we got to take the Manticore. The Scophos Reaver, the Terminal Agony are both great if we want to play the Madness deck, and the Manticore can go in that deck, but it also goes in the Delirium deck quite well. So I think we have to take this because it's kind of like a strategy enabler for us, which we don't have any yet. Alright, in this pack, there is a Hard Evidence, a Lightning Spear, Mental Journey, Galvanic Relay. I think I'm going to take Hard Evidence. Lightning Spear might actually be the best card for us in this pack, because it is an artifact, it does damage directly to face, and we're probably going to be more red than blue. But Hard Evidence I think is better in general in the Delirium deck. I would take the Lightning Spear more of a hedge if I was kind of worried about having to go Madness, for sure, but we'll take the Hard Evidence for now. I do like Scuttletide. Faithless Salvaging, also quite good. But I'm going to take Road to Ruin. I really like this card in the Delirium deck. Having both the... just the fact that it can be cast from the grave and is 2 card types is quite good, even if you can't even cast the front half. So we're going to take Road to Ruin. Okay, I like Foul Watcher better than Manticore number 2. Parcel Mirror is kind of meh in this deck. Razortide Bridge, we could be splashing white. We could play things like Foundry Helix, but let's take the Watcher. Okay, Storm God's Oracle, there's one kind of going late, and this card is excellent in this deck. Another Lightning Spear going around. We'll take the Oracle. I'm glad that I took the Hard Evidence and not the Lightning Spear at this point in time. I think the Delirium deck at its highest power level is better than the Madness deck on average. I could take Drossforge Bridge if I wanted to splash black. Void Mirror is not worth anything. The old border art is for sure, even on Modo. So second Manticore or the ability to splash. Having a couple of artifact lands, even if they're off color, probably helps this deck quite a bit. We do have 2 enchantment creatures already. I think I'm actually going to take the Bridge, because the Bridge powers up the Manticore as is, so we'll take it. Another Manticore or a Faithless Salvaging. I'm going to take the Salvaging. Salvaging is really good if we happen to get a Captain Ripley Vance. Tideshaper can be good, especially if your opponent's playing like the 5-color deck, you just turn a land into an island. But I think on average is not actually that great, so we'll take the Salvaging. I think the only 1-drop that I really like playing in this deck is Dragon's Rage Channeler for obvious reasons. If you're splashing a color, there might be some other options for like 1-drops, but... Okay, there's a Seal of Removal or another Storm God's Oracle or a Gargadon. I really, really like Gargadon, but I think Storm God's Oracle is more important. The fact that this card can trade and then Searing Spear something else makes it quite good. And I'm very happy to see this card going late, because this card went all the way around because this was our first pack. It means that nobody is strictly blue-red right now, or at least they had better options. I think I will take a Razortide Bridge. I could see myself splashing something like Foundry Helix or Rockrick if we were to open him or something like that, so we'll take the Bridge. We might play them depending on the number of artifacts that we see. Like, if we get a couple of good artifact creatures in our colors, like some Arcbound Trackers, then it's not as necessary, but you definitely don't want to play too many, and obviously if we could get the blue-red Bridge, that would be ideal. We definitely have more red mana symbols than blue right now, a couple of double red between the Manticore and the Ruin. So if we could get like a Slagwoods Bridge, I would feel really good about playing that Road to Ruin. Okay, Galvanic Relay is much better in the red-green Storm deck. Mental Journey I do like. It's an instant you can get into the grave early and it can fix your mana. Really helps with splashing, so if we wanted to splash green for Road or maybe another spell, it would be worth it. Also is really good in the Delirium deck because you can just cast it and it's actually quite good. I'll take another Faithless Salvaging. I do like Faithless Salvaging. If you get a couple of Scophos Reavers or Root Wallas and stuff, even in this deck, it can be quite good, especially with Captain Vance. I think I'm actually going to take the Anarchomancer over Parselmere. I'm less likely to play Anarchomancer, but it's pretty early, and there could be like the potential for a good green splash here. Okay, Unmarked Grave. There's a Gargadon, Storm God's Oracle number 3. I think a Tanglepool Bridge would also be good, but I'm not going to first pick Fixing here. I don't need it that bad. I think I'm going to take Gargadon because it's a really good like Haymaker. Storm God's Oracle, this one is not likely to come around because people are probably going to be a little more solidified in what they're playing. So I still think the pick is Gargadon here. Okay, Solitary Confinement, Flame Blitz, Foul Watcher, Manticore. So because I have 2 Storm God's Oracles and a Mount Valus Manticore, I'm not going to take Flame Blitz. Flame Blitz is really good if you don't have any... If you don't have any enchantments, the cycling, this is basically like a red Think Twice or a colorless Think Twice, which is quite good. It just doesn't, trigger spellcast triggers. We're going to take Foul Watcher, though, because it's a pretty aggressive tempo card in a good Delirium deck. Okay, this might be the time for Scuttletide now. If this Combine Chrysalis comes around and we get a Scuttletide, that's a pretty decent combo. I could also take Arcbound Tracker, just to have an artifact creature, or Sojourner's Companion for the same reason. Sojourner's Companion, if we get green, dual land, is both an artifact and a creature that fixes for us. I'm going to go with Scuttletide, though, because this is the clear Delirium payoff and discard outlet. Kind of sad we didn't get the first one, but if Chrysalis comes around, it's a great combo with Scuttletide. I think Chrysalis is more likely to be picked. There's 2 hard evidence in this pack, along with a Blazing Rootwalla and a Revolutionist. Something from this pack should come around for us. I do like Revolutionist, especially if we can find an Unholy Heat. It's going to be great. Revolutionist Riptide Laboratory is actually a great combo as well. I'm going to go with the Rootwalla because I tend to play this deck a little bit aggressive, and it's an excellent combo with like Faithless Salvaging, Scuttletide, Manticore. It does a lot of stuff, so I'm going to take that. Okay, we could take Counterspell here. Counterspell would be fine. Oh, wait. Is Esper Sentinel worth a bunch? Oop. 3 wrong commands. It's worth 3 tickets. I don't like Counterspell in this format that much. It's good, but it's not great, especially if you don't have a ton of instants. And we have some. We have like Faithless Salvaging and stuff. So like maybe it's actually worth. But I think the Slagwoods Bridge is better. I think I would rather have the green for the Road to Ruin, potentially. So Raving Visionary is nice. For multiple reasons. Just being able to draw cards, fine, but being able to loot cards that you don't want to enable Delirium, that you don't want in your hand, that you want in your grave to enable Delirium is quite good. Step Through is also good, but we have a Giant Wizard, so we can Wizard Cycle. We'll take the uncommon. Okay, I don't like Lose Focus because I don't like counter spells in this format a lot. I tend to get blown out by them, but when I have them, they're a little bit subpar. Battle Plan, we already have a bunch of enchantments, and we do have some basic land cycling and ramp, so I'm going to take the Aeromoeba. I don't think I'm playing a third Faithless Salvaging. We could splash for Chrome Courier, though I'm not sure we want to. I'm going to take Step Through. The double Unsummon is potentially very punishing against the right deck. Okay, I do like Recalibrate. I'm happy to pick up one of these. Vidalcan Infiltrator is great. Metalcraft shouldn't be that difficult, but it's also not like our primary game plan or anything. Oh man, I really don't like Phantasmal Dreadmaw. So I think we're going to take Crack Open here. I like having a bunch of Naturalizes. If we can find one that fits in the main deck, it's great. Mog Salvage I think is too narrow for that effect. Specimen Collector, I don't like either. I guess I take Parselmere here. Okay, I will take Riptide Laboratory. Strike It Rich matters only for Storm purposes, and it's great with Ripley Vance, but we haven't seen any of her yet. Riptide Lab, if we get the... Well, it's good with the Prophetic Titan, so in theory we have like late game super value if we can make it there. We're really looking for some Unholy Heats, I think. Lannis, Kaleidoscorch, Unholy Heat. Why does it always make it difficult? So Lannis is fantastic, especially if you get like one more land for fixing. Just because it provides so much card draw. Kaleidoscorch gives us a reason to run all of our dual lands, because It's both a sorcery and it has flashback. The question is, do I like it more than Unholy Heat? And Unholy Heat being the premier removal spell in this entire format. There's no way Kaleidoscorch or Lannis come around. I do need more creatures, and Lannis is a creature. We don't have as many ways to take advantage of the clues. It depends on how many people are in red. If I take Lannis, maybe like Kaleidoscorch, Unholy Heat, or Storm God's Oracle come around. But if I take a red card, no red cards come around, and Lannis definitely doesn't. So we'll take the rare. I'm fine with Hard Evidence. We have a lot of instants. We don't have that many sorceries. And I like Hard Evidence as a card. It making a clue also synergizes with Lannis. Kaleidoscorch, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I don't like having multiple Raving Visionaries. And out of this pack, I think maybe I would take like a Patchwork Gnomes or maybe an Orchard Strider, but Kaleidoscorch is great for us. Now, if there's a pack with like a bunch of suboptimal picks, if there's a single half-on color land, we can definitely take it. We are a little light on creatures, which is kind of concerning. Didn't Dress Down go up in price? It is a ticket. I can play it. It's a cantrip, and it's not bad in this deck. It does sacrifice itself. It is an enchantment. I actually think I want another Aeromoeba, though, before I get this Dress Down, because we are so light on creatures. We only have 12. And Hard Evidence is like half a creature. Rustveil Bridge wouldn't be bad for Kaleidoscorch reasons, but I think we got to take the Aeromoeba. Let's see. I think we actually take... I don't think I can take Milliken. I'm going to take another Aeromoeba. For some reason, I thought Milliken was a 2-mana 2-1 that tapped for colorless for some reason. And if it was, I would definitely take it. The mill would help. The ramp maybe does, but we'll just take the flyer. Upheaval. Now, Upheaval is a card that we can definitely play in this deck. It is like a little bit risky, but we have the Upheaval Gargadon combo. So like we just Upheaval the turn before Gargadon comes down, and then what does our opponent do? Yeah, we'll take it. Okay, Foul Watcher, Storm God's Oracle number 3, or a dual land that we actually want. I think I'm going to take the Oracle. I think this card is higher value than Foul Watcher. We already have 2 Foul Watchers as well. I think in its absolute worst case scenario, we can just discard it to the Manticore and get value that way. 2 damage instead of 1. Revolutionist is great. Happy to get a Revolutionist. Always like having 1 in a deck like this. If you can build more around it, or you have a lot of discard outlets, like playing 2, especially if you have cheap removal like Unholy Heat in your deck, can be absolutely fantastic. 4th Storm God's Oracle I still like better than Tide Shaper. Sweep the Skies, I don't like that much. Thornglint Bridge is technically half on color, but I really don't like it. I have enough creatures now. I don't think I would play another Mental Journey. I guess I take the Lash Claw. We'll take a Patchwork Gnomes. It's the only card in that pack we'd actually play. Raving Visionary number 2 I think is much worse than Raving Visionary number 1. Break Ties is technically splashable. Smellfear does not really synergize with what we're doing, so I guess I'll take Liquid Metal Torque and Blacksmith Skill. Okay, so we have the cards to make a deck. Let's determine how we make this deck. So I'm going to need to cut a couple of cards. I really only like playing 1 Raving Visionary. Lash Claw is nice for creatures with Madness, because you can stack the triggers in such a way that you get the creature and give the creature haste. But the only Madness creatures we have are the Rootwalla and the Revolutionist, and I don't think either are particularly great. I like Patchwork Gnomes a lot more than I like Parcel Mirror. Probably don't need 3 Aeromoebas. 2 is fine. Okay, let's cut some non-creatures now. Faithless Salvaging Recalibrate is a little bit of a combo. We have 2 Hard Evidence. Step Through Wizard Cycling, we can put a sorcery in the grave if we didn't get our Kaleidoscorch or Hard Evidence early. I really actually do like Mental Journey, especially with Revolutionist. That's a really good combo, because you can cycle it early and then buy it back to draw a bunch of cards later. Lannis might technically be stretching the mana base with only 1 bridge to splash him, or her. I have no idea if this is male or female, or other. I think I can get rid of Faithless Salvaging. Interesting that Road is an instant. I need to cut 2 more cards. We have 3 sorceries, 4 instant... We have 5 sorceries, actually, because we have Hard Evidence, ×2, Kaleidoscorch, Step through Upheaval. Oh, and I guess Ruin. So 6. We have a lot of sorceries. Then we have Faithless Salvaging, Recalibrate, Mental Journey, and Road for instants. I don't think we need Step Through. We have a lot of enchantments. So much so that I may not actually need Scuttletide. Like, it gives us a way to, like, make a bunch of tokens later, but we don't have a way to really take advantage of that. It's another discard outlet, but, like, we already have Raving Visionary, 2 Aeromoebas, a Patchwork Gnomes, and a bunch of stuff that discards itself. So maybe we don't need Scuttletide in this deck. Okay, let's go ahead and add our lands. And I am going to play Riptide Laboratory. Is 2 green sources with some card draw, a basic land cycler, enough to splash Lannis? Maybe. I might actually want that other Faithless Salvaging. We have enough sorceries that maybe I actually cut Hard Evidence here. I'm normally in the opposite position. Normally I have like enough instants and not enough sorceries. Okay. Hard Evidence replaces itself though. I definitely want to run 40 cards this time. I don't want to run into the problems that I've had before, just getting greedy and like... I think our mana is fine. So we can get an artifact into the grave if we discard one of our 3 artifacts, artifact lands, or Patchwork Gnomes in some way. We have creature, land, artifact, instant, sorcery, enchantment. I think I'm fine cutting Patchwork Gnomes. We'll try it like this. I'll see you guys in round 1. Okay. I actually think this hand is keepable. We can basic land cycle Mental Journey on 2 to go get a forest to play Lannis on 3, and we probably should play Blazing Rootwall on turn 1. But if we don't, we can get a clue for extra value on turn 3 when we play Lannis. So I think I'm actually going to do that. Alright, I'm going to lead on an island, pass the turn. The reason I led on an island is because if I draw my Singleton Forest, then I can play Lannis into Stormgod's Oracle and just have a good curve. So opponent evokes Wave Sifter on 2, they get a couple of clues. We draw Road to Ruin. So play a mountain, Mental Journey, get our forest, pass the turn. Opponent plays a plains, cracks a clue. We untap, we draw Gargadon, play a forest, play Lannis, play Rootwalla. So we missed 2 damage by not playing that on turn 1. We'll see if that matters. Opponent untaps, plays a land, plays a Bannerhide Cruciak. We draw Stormgod's Oracle. So I can suspend a Gargadon, but if I do, I can't really do anything else. Let's go ahead and play the Oracle. Get another clue. Pass the turn. No attacks. Opponent untaps. They play a forest. They play a Foundation Breaker. So Stormgod's Oracle dies. We can kill Foundation Breaker. Then opponent Abundant Harvests. Gets Smell Fear. So we untap, we draw Foul Watcher, play an island. I can either Foul Watcher and Stormgod's Oracle this turn, getting 2 clues. That way if they try and fight next turn to kill Lannis, in response I can try and get like a 4-drop or less from their deck. Let's do that. Make a clue. Hard Evidence. I do not have a sorcery in the grave. I cannot draw Hard Evidence this turn, so put it in the grave. Play Stormgod's Oracle. We have Delirium now. Okay, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, plays a land. They're going to Smell Fear. So sack 4 clues. We can get a Floodhound or an Ornithopter of Paradise. Ornithopter of Paradise actually fixes our mana quite nicely. I'm going to do that. Get a clue. We lose Lannis. Opponent plays a Deepwood Denizen. We go to we untap, we draw Raving Visionary. So I think I'd like to kill that 4/4, or at least, or maybe the Deepwood Denizen. I can kill the Deepwood Denizen to stop my opponent from drawing cards by using the Stormgod's Oracle, but I can also do that by holding back on defense. So I think what I'm going to do is cast Road, get a mountain, and then ruin... if I ruin the Crew Shock, there's actually some danger they just scavenge onto the Deepwood Denizen. Like if they have another land. Let's kill the Denizen, actually. It's a little bit overkill. Hit them for 2 in the air. We'll keep the Storm God's Oracle back on defense. They would need a combat trick to actually kill it. We can block and then Lightning Bolt off of its death trigger to kill the Crew Shock. Okay, so opponent had a tap land. Then they pass. We untap. We draw Foul Watcher. So go to combat. Attack for 2 in the air. Opponent goes to 16. We can either play Visionary and we can play Foul Watcher, or we can play Gargadon. So I think I'm actually just going to cast Gargadon. I don't want to wait for Gargadon. Let's just apply pressure and try and win. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks a clue. They untap. I was probably safe to attack with Storm God's Oracle that turn. Opponent does not attack. We untap. We draw a mountain. So play a mountain. Play Foul Watcher. Let's manipulate our top deck. Island into the grave. Sack a clue. Draw a card. We get an upheaval. Oh, that might be funny. Go to combat. Swing out. Okay, opponent's going to block the Root Walla. So pump. Pump. Hit our opponent for 12. Pass the turn. I could have taken them to 1, but my opponent is playing colors that have lifelink. Plus, we may not even have to show them Upheaval this game, which would be awesome. And then we can keep it as a surprise for later. Tons of mana. Opponent plays a big ol' Ren's Run Hydra. And it does have reach, but they're still just dead. We untap and draw Bridge. Go to combat. Attack. Okay. And they take lethal. Sick. Alright. So opponent is playing a 3-color rampish sort of deck with big creatures. Step Through might actually be really good against them. Think we're fine to try without it, though. One thing I really like about the Delirium deck is it's pretty easy to assemble a good curve. Opponent leads on Squirrel Sanctuary. We draw a mountain. Play Slagwood's Bridge, pass the turn. Opponent plays a forest, hits us for 1. Then plays a Glimmerbairn. We draw Prophetic Titan. Play an island, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play an island, go to combat. Attack us for 2. We take 2. Okay. Fire off Faithless Salvaging. Ditch our forest. We draw Aeromoeba. Untap. Faithless Salvaging rebounds. Let's ditch Aeromoeba. Get a Drossforge Bridge. And our Razortide Bridge. So play a mountain. Play Storm God's Oracle. Pass the turn. Now if Storm God's Oracle dies, we'll have Delirium. Sure. If they want to trade here, that's fine. They can pick up and replay Squirrel Sanctuary, but that's a really weak turn 4. I'd only really expect them to do that if they didn't have a play. Okay, they play Urban Daggertooth. We untap and draw Recalibrate. Alright, let's basic land cycle for an island. And the reason that I'm doing this is because that lets me draw a card off of Recalibrate. Foul Watcher. Okay, that's something good to play alongside a tap land next turn. Opponent replays Urban Daggertooth. We draw Road to Ruin. I have no way to discard this, unfortunately. I can just cast it, but if I want to play the Foul Watcher alongside it, I would need to play Riptide Lab this turn, and we're saving that so that... Well, I guess I was going to say we're saving that so we can Prophetic Titan, but if I do that, I'll have another land because of Road that I didn't take into account. So I guess that's fine. Play Riptide Lab. Cast Road. Get a mountain. Play Foul Watcher. The real concern is they make that Urban Daggertooth much too big. Put a mountain in the grave. Pass the turn. I guess we could ruin it with Road to Ruin. Opponent attacks for 4. We do not block. Opponent plays a Tanglepool Bridge and passes. We draw an island. So play Drossforge Bridge. go to combat, attack for 2. Okay, opponent has no tricks for that. Take them to 18. Play Prophetic Titan. 4 damage to Urban Daggertooth. And I think I pick up Revolutionist here. The Manticore is also good, because the Manticore is an additional threat. Let's take the Manticore. Opponent had no trick to save their Daggertooth. They pick up the Squirrel Sanctuary. They proliferate nothing, and we pass. Opponent replays Squirrel Sanctuary, gets a squirrel. We untap, we draw Storm God's Oracle, play an island, play the Manticore, go to combat, ditch Razortide Bridge. I could have played the Razortide Bridge and still had mana that I want to do what I wanted to do this turn, but I'm not going to play the Oracle, I'm just going to leave up Riptide Lab. Because if my opponent does have like a Piercing Raise or something like that, I can just pick up Prophetic Titan and then do it again. We've hit our late game value stage. Opponent plays Ornithopter of Paradise, plays a Fey Offering, so they get a food, a clue, and a treasure this turn. Pick up Prophetic Titan. And I'm doing this now because it gives us an additional draw. It's the creature they would block if they were going to block anything anyway, so it's not like attacking with it this turn matters that much. So we draw an island. Replay Prophetic Titan. Shoot them for 4. I do like Kaleidoscorch a lot here. So Kaleidoscorch, Ornithopter of Paradise. Then we can ping them for 2 off of the Oracle or 1 off of the island if we want. Which I don't think we're going to do. I don't think my opponent has enough ways to stop all the damage we have. Unless they can gain a ton of life somehow. But like in order to do that, they would need Piru the Volatile and a way to like sack it. Which I guess is not impossible for them to be able to do. It's just really unlikely. We're not going to discard anything. Go to combat. Hit them for 5. So if they replay Squirrel Sanctuary, we can just kill it by discarding an island to the Manticore, which is why I'm holding it in hand. Opponent cracks a clue, draws a card. They have to crack a food to stay alive. They play Abundant Harvest. They get a Bannerhide Crew Shock. But now they're kind of stuck because we have so much direct damage and damage they won't be able to block. I don't think they can make it out of this. If they had an Arcus Acolyte and a way to like scavenge a bunch of counters on it, then they'd have like a really, really tall reach lifelink creature. We wouldn't be able to attack, but we would just like pick up Prophetic Titan and just shoot them in the face. Like they would need that and enough. They'd need to be able to gain enough life off of like their food. So they play the Crew Shock. They sack the treasure for black. So they're replaying Squirrel Sanctuary. That doesn't let them sack 2 foods now that they've done that. They can only sack 1 food and go up to 6. As long as we can do 6 damage to them directly, they're dead. No, okay, never mind. They have 2 treasures, so they can. They can sack 2 foods. So we untap, draw Faithless Salvaging. I think we can just kill them, right? Because we can just kill the Crew Shock, ping the Squirrel, swing out, pick up Titan, and then shoot them with it. I think that's the most damage we get. No, well, no, I can't pick up Titan and do that all in the same turn, but let's go ahead and kill the Crew Shock. They can pay a mana to pick up Squirrel Sanctuary, but if they do, they can't crack 2 foods. Okay, go to combat, ditch the Salvaging, ping the Squirrel, attack for 9, and I think that's lethal. If not, we could play and pump Storm God's Oracle until it bolts them. So they gain 3, or we could flashback Kaleidoscorch for lethal. They have Tragic Fall. They're not Hellbent, this is just a Fog. That's still 6 damage, though. They're still dead? Yeah, okay. If my opponent could have gotten Hellbent and killed the Titan, they could have stayed alive, but it wouldn't have mattered that much. Alright, I will see you guys in round 2. Alright, we're on the draw, and I think this hand is great. We will keep. Opponent leads on tap land. We untap, draw Prophetic Titan, and lead on our own tap land. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Plains into an Ornithopter. We We draw Mental Journey. I actually think there's a good chance my opponent is relying on this, so we're going to Kaleidoscorch that, pass the turn. Those 3 cards tells me my opponent might be playing the, like, 5-color deck. Okay. Basic land cycling, we're going to go get a forest. We might need it later, we'll see. It does power up Kaleidoscorch out of the grave, anyway. Opponent plays a mountain, we untap. We draw Recalibrate. Whoop. Play Storm God's Oracle. Pass the turn. And now we're just going to play Marching Storm God's Oracles. Opponent plays a Goldmire Bridge. We untap and draw Gargadon. I think I'm going to Faithless Salvaging to see if I can't draw a land here. And I'm going to ditch the Manticore. Okay, Riptide Lab, that's great. Go to combat. Attack for 1. I'm just going to leave up Recalibrate. I was kind of hoping to suspend Gargadon, but... Okay, opponent plays a Breathless Knight and a tap land. They are now passing. So we untap, Faithless Salvaging, coming off a Rebound. I think we got to get rid of an Oracle. We draw Razortide Bridge. Let us Recalibrate. Get a Revolutionist, play Razortide Bridge. Go to combat. Attack. I did that because I wanted to draw a bunch of cards, basically. We're trying to make our land drops, because if we can get to, like, Prophetic Titan sniping that, we're going to win. I am going to go with the Suspend Gargadon play, because we're only 1 land away from being able to cast an Upheaval. And if we can Upheaval prior to a Gargadon, and force our opponent to discard all of that stuff, it's fantastic. So opponent replays Breathless Knight and a Tyzerus Charger. We draw Blazing Rootwalla. So I can Kaleidoscorch to kill Breathless Knight if I want to. Or Tyzerus Charger. I can just play Aeromoeba. Let's build our board. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They're going to Flay Essence. Okay, let's put Blazing Rootwalla into play. Okay. We lose the Aeromoeba. That's a really good removal spell that they won't be able to cast later. And they are going to Kaleidoscorch the Rootwalla. Okay. They go to combat, attack for 2, that's fine. So Kaleidoscorch can do up to 5 damage. We untap, Gargadon ticks down to 2. We draw an island. So play an island, go to combat, attack for 1. Okay. Opponent takes the 1. I think we gotta go with the Prophetic Titan here. Kill the Breathless Knight. And we'll pick up Foul Watcher. Pass the turn. So opponent might have to just flashback Kaleidoscorch to kill the Prophetic Titan, especially with something like a Riptide Laboratory sitting on the battlefield. Otherwise we're just going to keep buying it back, and then what is our opponent going to do? This may be their only opportunity to sorcery speed removal that. Opponent plays Revolutionist, and they pick up Flay Essence. So we untap, Gargadon ticks down to 1. We draw Hard Evidence. Let's play Foul Watcher. Surveil. Island into the grave is fine. Go to combat. Attack for 1. Yeah, we'll make him take 1. Then we'll play a Hard Evidence. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a tap land. We're telegraphing pretty hard what it is that we're going to do, because we used all of the mana except the mana we are going to use to do it. Opponent plays an Ethereum Spinner and a Sinister Starfish. Okay, let's go ahead and Riptide the Titan. Untap. Gargadon coming off Suspend. We draw a Road to Ruin. We do not have a second red source, unfortunately. So I think what we do is go to combat. Attack like this. Opponent double blocks the Gargadon. So we're going to kill off the Storm God's Oracle here to kill the Revolutionist. We're going to do a lot less damage this way, but we're going to force them to use hard removal. This is an instant, so we can just pass. Opponent untaps. It was kind of important that this didn't stick around anyway, because Flay Essence kills it without triggering its death trigger. Okay, so they're going to Flay Essence to kill the Gargadon. That makes sense. Okay, then they pass. So let's Road, get a Mountain, untap. We draw another Storm God's Oracle. So go to combat, attack them in the air for 2. Opponent goes to 9. Play Oracle, pass the turn. Opponent surveils. So they see we have 4 oracles. Alright. We untap. We draw Foul Watcher. So go to combat. Attack like this. Pump here. Pump here. Black, red, green, blue, white. That's 5 damage. Alright, they're dead. Maximum value. This deck's sick. We had a Prophetic Titan this entire time, too. Like, we could have just put it back in at any point. My opponent sent me a message. Oh gosh, they're probably a little upset. So we're just going to run it back. I don't think we're going to make any adjustments. Okay, we will be keeping. Oh, opponent says, wow, completely forgot about the Scorch. GG. Alright, they lead on Swamp. We draw a Mountain. Mountain here is actually pretty good for us. Play Blazing Root Walla, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Sinister Starfish. We draw Storm God's Oracle. Go to combat. Attack for 1. We can either pump and play Hard Evidence, or we can suspend Gargadon. Our opponent didn't block, so let's just suspend Gargadon. Whoop. Pass the turn. Gargadon ticks down to 3. We draw a Manticore. So, play a Mountain. Scorch the Charger. Go to combat. Attack for 1. Make it 3. Okay, opponent surveils. They put a Kaleidos Scorch in the grave. So it looks like my opponent is mainly a Reanimator deck of some kind, splashing like red and green and all this other stuff for removal, maybe? We draw an island. I think the correct play here is to play the Manticore and start pinging down the birds. So we're going to discard Hard Evidence, ping a bird, then we're not going to attack. Opponent surveils. They put a Revolutionist in the grave, surveils on their upkeep. They drew an island, or had an island in hand. They play a Parcel Mirror. We untap. Gargadon ticks down to 1. We draw Road to Ruin. So we can do 2 damage to something if we want. Don't think that's worth it. I mean, like, I don't think it's worth targeting anything in specific. So opponent discards or sacks Parcel Mirror to draw. We go to combat. Attack for 3. Now we can do one of 2 things here. We can either Ruin to kill this Starfish, or we can play Storm God's Oracle, and I'm going to go with the Oracle because I'd rather build my board. Ruin is a high-value removal spell, so if my opponent does play something like a Glorious Enforcer somehow, we might need to kill that using Ruin. Opponent plays Legion Vanguard. We untap. Gargadon coming off Suspend this turn. We draw Raving Visionary. Okay. So we're going to kill the Legion Vanguard. Go to combat. Ditch Raving Visionary, because we don't need it. Ping the bird. Then attack with everybody. Hit them for 11, take them to 2. And now if Storm God's Oracle dies, instead of being exiled, if we draw an artifact land, an enchantment creature, like our opponent has to have like overloaded Dam, and then a way to gain life. Or a way to gain life and then overload Dam. So, well, that was pretty good. I'll see you guys in round 3. This deck seems awesome. Good old-fashioned long queue times are back. Alright, we'll be on the draw for round 3. No blue mana, but we do have a Gargadon and we do have a Salvaging to hopefully make up for that fact. So I am going to keep this. Gargadon Suspend on turn 2 I really enjoy. It's much worse on the draw than on the play, but it's still pretty good. Play bridge, pass the turn. There's some chance maybe I should have discarded that to the Faithless Salvaging and just gone mountains until that point, but who knows. We draw Upheaval, play a mountain, suspend Gargadon. Maybe my opponent will think I'm madness. If we draw blue mana, it's amazing. Opponent plays an island, hard evidence, okay? Gargadon, tick it down. We draw Faithless Salvaging. Let's go ahead and Salvaging, discarding Aeromoeba. Get a Road to Ruin, play a mountain, pass the turn. Opponent cracks a clue to draw a card. They untap. They play a tap land. Then pass. So we untap. Gargadon ticks down to 2. Faithless Salvaging rebounds. We will discard Road to Ruin. Get another mountain. Okay. So Faithless Salvaging. Discard a mountain. Still no blue mana. Play a mountain. Pass the turn. Hey, at least we're at Delirium. Opponent casts Road. So they will have a removal spell for Gargadon, almost 100%. Alright. Gargadon ticking down. We will cast this. The question is, what are we discarding? And I kind of want to keep this Upheaval. I think I'm going to discard this Foul Watcher, because if I get an island, I can Mental Journey, cycle, and then kill Radiant Epicure. Give me to Kaleidoscorch. And a Prophetic Titan. This is really awkward. Pass the turn. Alright, so opponent attacks us for 5. We take 5 and go to 10. Opponent plays an Aethersworn Sphinx, and they cascade into a Vidalcan Infiltrator. Okay, this is bad. We basically need to rip Island right off the top. Gargadon coming off Suspend. We draw. Oh my god. Well, play Razortide Bridge. Go to combat. Attack for 7. And then we'll kill Radiant Epicure so we're not dead immediately. Opponent hits us for 6. We go to 4. They probably flashback Ruin to just kill Gargadon. They may not even do that because they might not even be threatened. Okay. We need to draw an island here. Recalibrate is not an island. Yeah, okay. We didn't draw our 5th land until turn 6, despite 4 extra draws. And yeah, I know I discarded a mountain, but like if we weren't drawing an island, we weren't winning anyway. And yeah, I could have mental journeyed and recalibrated and like maybe stayed alive there, but I didn't want to show my opponent those things. Okay, run it back. I think we just got really unlucky. Maybe I should be playing Crack Open for this matchup, but alright, we'll play first. Much better. We will keep. Okay. I could save the Root Walla, but I think we're going to need to be aggressive, especially with how many tap lands our opponent's playing. This likely means that we're powering it up and attacking on turn 2 and playing Hard Evidence rather than playing Foul Watcher. Now I regret I regret playing the Root Walla. Alright, Hard Evidence. Go to combat. Hit you for 3. Opponent goes to 17. They suspend a Rift Sower and play a Mountain. We untap. We draw Upheaval. Go to combat. You know what? Swing with the Crab for intimidation points. Hit them for 3. Play an island. Play Foul Watcher. Aeromoeba into the grave. Pass the turn. We may need to crack the clue to draw a card next turn. Opponent plays a Plains. They play Fey Offering. We untap. We draw Kaleidoscorch. So, sack a clue, draw a card, Storm God's Oracle, go to combat, hit them for 4, they go to 10. Rift Sower coming off Suspend. Any non-creature spell they cast this turn gives them pretty immense value. Okay, opponent plays an island, and a Sweep the Skies. Okay, that is probably the worst case scenario for us. We'll play an island, play Storm God's Oracle. We really just need to draw a couple of land here, because casting Upheaval against this board is going to be awesome. I'm pretty sure if you discard Root Walla to hand size, you also get the Madness trigger for it. Okay, opponent plays a Radiant Epicure and drains us for a bunch of life. Okay, they do not attack. We untap. We draw Dross Forge Bridge. So play the bridge. Okay. Pass the turn. I think we're just going to Faithless Salvaging, ditching Kaleidoscorch, to try and hit our 6th land for upheaval. Yeah, opponent sacks a clue to draw. If they attack with Epicure, I will absolutely trade Oracle for it. Opponent plays a land. I'm kind of hoping they cast like an expensive creature here. Or an expensive permanent of some kind. Opponent goes to combat. Attack for 5. So block with the Oracle. Pump it once. Kill the Epicure. They play Aethersworn Sphinx. They get an Infiltrator. This is actually relatively fine, because Metalcraft without these tokens is going to be difficult to recast that Sphinx. Opponent casts Road. They get another land. Okay. Faithless Salvaging. Ditch Kaleidoscorch. Get a Storm God's Oracle. Untap. Faithless Salvaging rebounds. We will cast it again. Ditching Storm God's Oracle. Draw Foul Watcher. And then we draw Riptide Laboratory. The only problem with this is I have to play a land this turn to Upheaval. Like, Upheaval would be so much better next turn. Yeah, let's wait until next turn. Let's go Surveil. Island. Into the grave. Pass the turn. I mean, it sucks if they have a counterspell, though. I guess. Opponent goes to combat. Do we trade the Foul Watchers? I'm going to, actually. It puts a lot less permanence in our hand and makes it a bit easier. They play Timeless Witness. So they get to pick up that Sphinx again. Opponent's deck is a very, very good, like, 5-color grind control deck. They Cascade with Aethersworn Sphinx. Come on, permanent. Terramorph. That's a permanent. Although that does help them recover from Upheaval much faster. They get a bunch of resources. We untap. Draw Faithless Salvaging. Upheaval. Yeetus Maximus. Okay. Sack of food. They probably should tap Rift Sower and sack a treasure to gain another 3 life. Yeah. Okay. So play tap land. Pass the turn. I'm gonna feel silly if this doesn't work for some reason. Discard Rootwalla. Recast it. Pass to our opponent. Opponent plays an island, suspends Rift Sower, and has to discard 7 cards. The problem is, like, all of our early game is gone. Wait a minute. Did Terramorph come off suspend, or what happened? Or not? Oh, after you cast the spell from your hand. So if you cascade into it, it's bad. I forgot that that rebound specified it that way. I didn't know that, actually. You learn something new every day. Okay, opponent passes. They discard 5 lands of a Adulcan Infiltrator and a Fast and Furious. We draw a Raving Visionary, play an island, play Raving Visionary, go to combat, hit him for 1. Rift Sower ticking down. Opponent plays a tap land. We untap, draw a mountain, loot, ditch a mountain, play a mountain, pump, go to combat, hit them for 3. Okay. Opponent untaps, Rift Sower coming off suspend, so they're probably going to play that enchantment this turn to give them a bunch of tokens. That is bad. They play a mountain. They play Fey Offering. Yeah, who knows, maybe getting rid of those Foul Watchers was wrong. Maybe I should have actually kept them and just discarded some lands we weren't going to play. They hit us for 1, they get some tokens. We untap. We draw Mental Journey. Play an island. Play a Manticore. Go to combat. I'm not going to discard anything. Hit them for 2. Opponent untaps. So they start with Hard Evidence, then play Aethersworn Sphinx. They cascade into Road. They have multiple Road to Ruins. Opponent's deck is very good. Okay. We untap. Draw Razortide Bridge. Play Mountain. Flashback Kaleidoscorch. 3 colors. We're going to have a lot of trouble racing the foods, especially with my opponent having multiple removal spells they can just cast out of the grave. Maybe we can play the Revolutionist and pick up Upheaval and Upheaval again. That would be fun. Multiple Upheavals in the same game. Alright, move to combat. Discard Island. Kill the Sphinx. Swing out. Okay, opponent blocks a 1/1. They take 4, go to 11. They untap. This opponent flashes back Road to Ruin to kill the Manticore. Or Aftermaths it, excuse me. Plays a Timeless Witness. They're going to pick up the Epicure. That sucks. They hit us for 1, so they can keep draining our life. Okay. We untap. We draw Prophetic Titan. Play Riptide Laboratory. Okay. I think we have to play the Titan here. I'd really like to shoot my opponent, but kill the crab. We'll take Oracle. If we attack, they eternalize Timeless Witness and can get back Aethersworn Sphinx, or something even worse. And I think even with all the food and the fact that my opponent's going to drain us for a bunch, we can't miss the damage. Okay, opponent did not block. Interesting. They can just flashback Road to Ruin and then probably still cast Radiant Epicure so they can kill Prophetic Titan. Okay. Cast Epicure, 5 colors. They kill Prophetic Titan. They attack us for 2, they take us to 4. They get a bunch of tokens. We untap. We draw Recalibrate. Play Razortide Bridge. Play Storm God's Oracle. Pass the turn. So we need to find our Revolutionist. So they're going to tap that creature and then scry 2. Okay. Opponent goes to combat. I think we got a block like this. Take 1. They play a land. They play their own Storm God's Oracle. So they get a trigger. We're going to bounce the Oracle. We don't get to draw off of this, unfortunately. I think we're just dead, though, because we have no way to gain life, and we are going to need at least 2 turns to buy back Upheaval. We can't kill our opponent, we don't have enough damage. Man, Radiant Epicure was really good. I mean, I'll cast Mental Journey, but I don't think there's anything I can draw, because I'm not playing Counterspell. So I can't stop that from entering the battlefield. And like I said, we have no way to gain life. Yep. Opponent's deck was really good. And we had a bad game 1. Well, we get 2 packs left after everything's all said and done. Whoops. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. And remember, you can follow me on Twitch, same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays in the afternoon, sometimes the evenings, but it's generally a good time, and I recommend you show up if you can. If you can't, please join the description, or the Discord, links in the description below. And, yeah, you're all wonderful human beings, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye! Hey, just wanted to give a shout out to my patrons for the month of August. You guys are wonderful, and I really appreciate your support. It's been helping me make a lot of good content. If you want your name to show up in this list, there's a link to my Patreon in the description down below if you want to support this channel. Thank you so much.